Hello, welcome back to Sleep Smarts with Dr. Mercy. I'm a pediatric doctor and I spend a lot of time talking about sleep in children because I believe in preventative medicine, where we think about how we can help children to live their best lives free from disease and with good health. And I believe that sleep is such an important part of having good health. So I've got a question. Does your child turn every bedtime into a battleground? Well, if you're one of those parents or you know someone who has a child who really does not like going to sleep, then you are not alone. And we call this bedtime resistance. It's such a common thing to happen with children. By the time they know what's about, there are some children who just love sleep and they'll even ask to go to bed. But most often, children who will not want to go to bed, and there are many reasons why this might be so. It could be just fear of missing out. So in a family household where the youngest child, maybe they're 5 years old, and they need to be in bed for 7:30 for them to have a good amount of sleep for the morning, and they've got siblings and everybody else who doesn't necessarily go to bed at that time, they might feel that they're going to miss out on all the fun that they're imagining will be happening later on, and they will not want to go to bed, or they're genuinely anxious about their day or what's going to happen the next day. They're full of worry, or they just might not like the idea of being in bed. So for many reasons, and if you know your own child and actually are able to identify why they might struggle to go to bed when they're asked to, then you can use that as a way to tackle the problem and approach it in a way that is unique to your child, and then you can offer them the best bedtime routine possible. So many things there. So you imagine the scenario: you've put your child to bed, you've gone up, you've done the reading, you've done all the things that you do, and then they come back to ask for a snack, they come back to ask for another cup of water, a drink, and all of that. And this, you put them down to bed for 7:30, and it's 2 hours later and you realize it's 9:30, and it's coming up to your own bedtime. If you're someone who manages to get to bed on time earlier in the evening, you haven't done any of the work that you're hoping to catch up on, you haven't managed to do the dishes, for example, or to just relax and get your evening that you're hoping to get because the child is still awake. And this can be quite frustrating for families, and I'm quite aware about this aspect and why it's really important, not only for the child to sleep on time, but also for the family as well. So how do we manage bedtime resistance? So there are various tools that you can use, but the first one goes back to what I say, I think often, being having a set bedtime routine. What that means is the same thing every single day. It might be the child has got activities after school that are different on each day, but you have one or two things that you do consistently every day. That means the brain also engages and recognizes that this is a signpost to say it's bedtime. So it might be, for example, the child has got football one day, they've got drama, they've got ballet, and all of this, and that means what you're doing on an evening is different every single day. Or in some days they're just at home and relaxing, or they're with a different carer who might do things differently. But if you decide that actually we do teeth brushing, changing into pajamas, and reading a book, or in journaling, or something like that, then you do all those 2-3 things consistently every single day, no matter where you are. So the brain also then gets into the habit of recognizing that this is what it means, it's bedtime. That in itself can help with some children to just settle, because once it sets into the habit that this is what it means, it's bedtime, then they just will go to bed and not come back down. But if you've got a child like mine who will not stay in bed despite having a good set routine, then you might want to employ what we call limit setting or boundary setting. What that means is being persistent in the time or the activity that happens at bedtime. So if you have put the child to bed and they come back to you, have a set phrase that everybody uses, whoever is managing bedtime, to insist that actually, you know what, it's time to sleep. I'll see you tomorrow. It's time to sleep. I'm saying this assuming that the child has gone to bed and they're not hungry, the room temperature is okay, they're not cold, and you probably made time in the day or after school to talk about other things that they might be worrying about, or talk to them about their school day, giving them an opportunity to allay their fears and anxiety so that all of these things are not coming up at bedtime. So having done all of this, then you are now being quite persistent and saying no, it's bedtime. It's almost like a broken record. So children are very good at this. When they want something, they'll come and ask you multiple times. They say the same thing over and over again until either you give in or they might give up. But usually half the time as parents, we tend to end up just giving in, particularly if it's not something that's harmful to them or anything like that. And in the same way, as parents, as a parent, you want to be persistent and consistent in your language. The same, and this will also apply when they wake up at night. So whatever you say to them at bedtime, I'll see you tomorrow, is the same thing you'll be saying if they wake up at night. And over time, it might be difficult at first and they will resist because they're not happy about it. You're making a change, they don't like it. You then find all that to start settling later. You could employ a bedtime pass. So this could just be a piece of paper where you write down bedtime pass, for example. This is usually quite useful for children who are a little bit older and can understand, but it just depends on your child. If you think they can understand it, then you could use it. So use a bedtime pass, which you offer to them at the beginning of the week, for example, and they have an opportunity to use the bedtime pass once for the week. Once they've used it, so the bedtime pass, they come and hand it to you, and they ask for whatever it is that they wanted to ask for. If it's an extra book reading, you do that, and that's it. Then they need to earn back the pass by staying in bed consistently for another 5 days. It's almost like it's a fun game for the children, but as you do it, it's also building into a habit, and that can help them to stay in bed longer. A child who is younger, who might not be able to understand using a bedtime pass, you could use stickers or reward charts. So you put a tick on their board, or you give them an actual sticker. Once they've got 5 stickers, then you could do a lucky dip, where they then get to choose a toy or something. This doesn't have to be anything big really, or a new spoon or something that you know they might enjoy. The fact that they've got a prize it can be a reward enough to help them to stay in bed for longer. These are just examples of tools that you could try to help your child to sleep better, and just stay in bed consistently. Because once they stay in bed consistently, that means they're also able to fall asleep, probably on their own, if that's what you're trying to achieve. And then when they wake up at night, because they will wake up at night, we'll talk about that in a different video. They will wake up, then they're able to just turn around and fall back asleep as they would have done at the beginning of the night. So that's another good thing about being able to manage bedtime resistance. So some families who are concerned that actually, my child has always woke up this many times, or when I've tried to do it, they end up waking up even more. And what I say is actually that's quite common. Once you've tried to insist with setting limits at bedtime, the tendency is the behavior actually escalates, and the child might ask many more times to come back down, and you just have to remain consistent. And if you then say after 10 nights or 2 weeks, you then say it's okay, come down and you can watch a bit more TV with me, you've set yourself right back to the start, or even worse, because then the child does not know the next time you're going to say yes, so they're going to keep asking. So I tend to say, if you are keen to make a change in managing bedtime resistance and support your child to sleep on time and a time that you think is appropriate for them, then you need to be consistent, no matter how difficult it gets. Consistent in your approach, and also consistent across the board, because I know in some families it's not going to be the one person doing bedtime. It could be a different parent or a different carer, babysitter, nanny, all of that. Have everybody doing bedtime, keep to the same routine, and hopefully you'll see a change. Yeah, so if you found this helpful, please pop a like or a comment in the section below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.